Hi, welcome to Senior Beat. I'm Margot Hocht, and today I'll be talking about trips through the Groton Senior Center with Cindy Morrison.
Hi, Margot.
Hi, Cindy. How are you today?
Very well, very well. Excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining me today. So, trips through the Senior Center.
Yes.
Who can go on a trip?
Well, a lot of people don't realize this, but the Groton Senior Center trips that we run, because we are a division of Groton Parks and Recreation, are open to most anyone. Only rarely do we have a trip that is strictly for the seniors. Our trips are open to anyone who lives in Groton. They would get the resident rate, or people who live outside of Groton with the non-resident rate. And our trips, obviously, as I said earlier, are not just for seniors.
What constitutes a senior, just so we know?
55 and older is what we say is a senior at Groton Senior Center.
Okay. What types of trips do we offer?
We have quite an extensive list of trips. We have day trips, which we take our own Groton Senior Center bus. We have day trips that we take a coach bus. For example, in a few weeks, we're going up to the Red Sox game in Boston, and we're taking a coach motor bus up there, and we're gonna go see the game, have a great time. And then the week after, we're also doing a trip on our own Groton Senior Center bus, where it's a shorter, not as long of a day, but we go out usually for lunch and catch a play or something, maybe at Newport Playhouse. Sometimes we go to AquaTurf. We do things also like we have in upcoming this fall is a trip to the Essex steam train, and where they're going to do lunch, everything on the train, everyone's in character, riverboat lunch, and then the steam train, so that's kind of cool. But we also have really extensive trips. For example, 2017 is quite a lineup, as you know, Margot. I know you're excited about Iceland, but some of the other trips we have coming up, we have Tuscany, we have Spotlight on South Dakota, which is one of those trips where you stay in one hotel the whole time, but you're not unpacking and packing the whole entire time, but you're getting the large variety of it. We have a Hawaii trip, we have a trip, like I said, to Iceland, where we're going to see the Northern Lights. And then already we're planning for early 2018 for Cuba, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
But we try to incorporate the trips so we kind of meet the needs of everyone and the activity level. As you know, our Groton Senior Center seniors are very active. And what I mean by active is they're active and staying busy. But we also have those seniors who are very active physically. And with those seniors, we have a group called OATS, and that's the Outdoor Active Traveling Seniors. And we have probably about 70 people in that group right now, and it's free and it's open, and all you have to do to be a part of it is fill out a piece of paper so I have your information, and then you can partake on some of our excursions, such as Groton Utilities. We do hikes with them around the reservoirs, both Groton and Ledyard, which is pretty cool because it's kind of like special because you're not really allowed in there without them. So we've done quite a few of those, and that's a great partnership we have with them. But we've also recently had one with Groton Open Space Association, where they've taken us also on other hikes. And their hikes are very much guided, very informative. We do things with the Arboretum at Conn College. We have a hike in November we're doing to Gillette's Castle, so we'll do a hike there, and then we'll go tour the castle. But we also do things like the Argia cruise out of Mystic, where we're out on the boat for the day. Just last week we did the Ledge Lighthouse tour, which was super cool. That was fun because we went out on the Project O boat, and then we got onto the Ledge Lighthouse, and we stayed out there for a couple hours, and it was very, very incredible. just all the information and all the history. The group of volunteers that run it, the Ledge Lighthouse Foundation, they did an incredible job presenting it to us. They do a short film, but they also ensure that everyone's having a good time and very safe out there. If you get the chance, I highly recommend that one. But we also do other things, like we're going to go visit Ender's Island and have lunch out there and do a tour. So we're just trying to keep it up and keep it active and interesting for everyone. You know, it also kind of depends on the weather. In addition, another thing we did with the Oats group was we went to Fields of Fire Adventure Park in Mystic, where we did rope climbing and zip lining. We did that last year and this year with about 24 participants. We had a phenomenal time. One of my favorite quotes from that, from one of the gentlemen, he said, "I feel like a kid again. This is great." So that says a lot about kind of what the things we are doing and providing for the seniors here.
That's a lot of information.
It is.
So if I didn't catch any of that, where could I go and find it?
Well, you could go to our Facebook page, which if you go on and just look up Groton Senior Center, you might end up in a Massachusetts Groton Senior Center. So you have to be sure you put Town of Groton Senior Center when you're doing a search on Facebook, or you can do facebook.com/GrotonSC. We also have the Senior Centers of Southeastern Connecticut regional website, which we will show you that link to that, but you also can just go to the Town of Groton website and link over to us.
Okay.
Furthermore, you can also check out, and this is probably how most people get their information, our Discover 55 newsletter, which is bi-monthly now. Usually has the trips in there. If you don't find that, you could give me a call at the desk here, and it's 860-441-6623. And just sign up to be part of my email group, and you'll get an awesome list like this monthly. And I share upcoming events. This is actually up until December. Our last trip is the Company Men, who's an awesome a cappella group. And we're going to see them in December to kick off the holidays.
That'll be a luncheon, right?
A luncheon and show.
Lunch and a show. That sounds like it'll be fun.
Yep, and usually back before dinner, so it's a nice outing for the day.
If a trip is full,
yes,
is there a chance that I could still go on?
Actually, it's funny because our lighthouse trips this summer have been just off the charts. We booked one lighthouse trip and it filled up within the day. So then I went and booked another trip, you know, for a month after, and then that one booked within the week and filled up. So I recommended to people, get on the wait list, get on the wait list. And we had a wait list that was pretty long, 12 people plus, and we actually had to call upon the wait list for the trip because people have things come up, you don't know, you have surprise family in town, or you forgot that when you booked the trip 2 months earlier, you had an appointment, or you're just not feeling well. So yes, getting on the wait list is beneficial. It doesn't cost you anything to be on the wait list. The only requirement for our trips really is that when you do register, we ask that you pay for the trip, and that is the day trips. The extended trips and overnight trips, we only require a deposit.
Okay. Some of the day trips,
yes.
Do you have a couple that are coming up in September or October that you can share? Yeah,
I mentioned the Red Sox game, which we actually only have probably a handful of spots left, and that's pretty cool because it's just us. And that's the other thing, is I really try to, after the first year of doing this, I realized that sharing a bus and us having to pick up other places isn't really beneficial to who our patrons are. So I've gone out of my way, and sometimes it costs us a little more, but the bus is just ours. It's just our bus. We pick up at Groton Senior Center. So if you're somebody who's, you know, mom and dad, and you want to go to the Red Sox game, you park your car at Groton Senior Center, you lock it for the day, you get on the bus with us, we go to the game, we have a great time, we come back to Groton Senior Center, and then that's it. We don't have to go, you know, out to Madison or anywhere else. It's just us, and that's primarily what I've been focusing on doing. So we have that one. We have a Bluff Point State Park hike we're going to be doing.
Nice.
We have the Ender's Island trip. We have a Groton Utilities reservoir hike, which really is quite spectacular. And I'm hoping we hit the fall colors this year because we're going to do it again in October. We have the American Veterans Show. And that one, you know, is probably targeted more for the seniors, but again, is not just strictly for seniors.
Yeah.
And then we have, I said before, the company men. That one's pretty cool. But we have a lot of stuff coming up. Next spring, I'm looking at booking a trip out to, via the Crosstown Ferry, to a lavender farm, which is really beautiful. It's spectacular. People just come in by the droves to go there, so I'm hoping we can go early enough in the season that's not too crowded. So in early May, we're looking to go out there, hit this farm, and then also find a nice place to eat out on Long Island.
That would be nice.
Yeah, so I'm always coming up with new things. We try not to repeat things too often. We do a lot of plays, but we do a lot of museums. We're doing Whitney Museum this month, so. But we also did Museum of Modern Art. We also do trips like to Boston on your own and New York on your own, where if you want to go to, say, the Kennedy Library, or you want to go to, you know, Times Square, but somebody else on the bus wants to go to MoMA, then you kind of have your free reign and you can do what you want, and you're not, you know, stuck to one certain task of the day.
Yeah, and that's nice too if you don't want to drive,
yes,
or you can't drive.
Yes.
And so that's
the cost of that, actually, I kind of checked it out because I used to work part-time in New York, and I was like, well, it couldn't cost that much, but it actually saves you money. You're not parking. Even if you take the train in, you're still saving money. Let us do the driving for you. Let us take the worry, the stress out of it, because everyone knows how stressful it can be to drive into New York.
Yes.
So let us do that for you. Sit back, ease back, and just enjoy. And then when we get to the city, we usually have 2 stops, whether it's New York City or Boston, and we say, these are the stops we're making. You know, kind of plan your day like that, and then this is where we're picking you up later. So.
Okay. What's been some of the feedback for the day trips?
A lot of it, well, like I mentioned before, you know, us having to share the buses, that was kind of negative, where we had some trips that should have been phenomenal, but because we were on the bus too long, picking up others, and we were the first pickup, it made for a really long trip for our, you know, patrons. So, like I said, we've changed it now that we're more focused on trying to share a bus with somebody who's local, like Ledyard or East Lyme or Waterford, where we can have one location of a pickup and one location for a drop-off, versus the numerous pickups and drop-off, which just elongate a long bus trip. But the people, everybody seems to be really enjoying it. The trips fill up all the time. I rarely have a trip that I really have to push. You know, we just did Bye Bye Birdie at the Goodspeed, where they ate lunch at the Gelston House, and then they saw the show, and they loved it, loved it. We did Motown Musical off-Broadway at Providence Performing Arts Center. We did a bus trip this past spring where it was a Broadway pick, where half of the bus was going to see Lion King, and half of the bus was going to see American in Paris. And that was a huge hit, too, because people were like, oh, that's great. I wasn't stuck having to fill the whole bus to be just Lion King, or just, and they loved it. They did lunch as a big group, and then they separated and went to their shows, and then met up after.
That's nice.
Yeah, but we also do things like the zoo. Right before we came here to tape this today, I was actually looking at some zoo trips for next spring. You know, maybe a Halloween thing.
That would be fun for families.
Yes, for families. So I just try to keep it open for everyone. I'm trying to show people more that our trips are for not just the seniors, and let people know that they can take advantage of it, because we do try to go out of our way to get the better price. Being that we're a big group, sometimes we're 40, 50 people. With that large of a group, we get really great prices.
So I remember hearing about going to the Rockettes over the holiday season last year.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about where you guys sat and how the experience
was. Phenomenal. So we had, again, a full bus, and we had, you know, grandparents and parents, but we had kids, and we had one couple there who was their anniversary, and it was really sweet because apparently they did this every year on their anniversary. But we also had, like I said, families, and, you know, intergenerational families too. So it wasn't just, you know, mom and dad. It was maybe grandma, mom, and daughter, and that was super fun. But our seats, and I always try to do this, I always try to get our seats as early as possible. I'm already on Yankee Stadium, like every other day, calling the guy up saying, when are you going to post those Yankee Stadium tickets? Because I want to be the first one to get the best tickets possible. So our Rockette seats were incredible. We were probably like 10 rows back, off to the side a little, so we weren't like really up close. It was wonderful. And the lunch before, like I said, was a big group lunch. It was a family style meal. It was delicious. And then we all went back and had a great day. One thing I didn't mention, and when I just said the Yankee trips, I just realized, we also started going to the Yukon games last year up at Gamble, which was a huge hit, and apparently I didn't buy enough of those because that was probably a wait list of 20 or so people, which I couldn't call everyone. But again, we're booking our own bus, and we're bringing everyone up there, dropping them right off, and bringing them right back home. And they're loving it, loving it. And again, it's not just for the seniors. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks, I'm trying.
Do you have any recommendations of trips that you personally would like to see people enjoy?
Well, I love the ones that incorporate a little bit of both active and culture. We're doing the Whitney Museum, which is, we're doing the Highline Park, which is an old train track that they weren't using anymore, and they decided to use it and make it a park. So we're getting a guided tour on that. For about a mile, then we're going to go lunch in Chelsea Market, and then we go to the Whitney Museum at its new location. So it's like you get all these awesome parts of a day in New York City that you might not do if you just went on your own.
Yeah.
And you also get the group rate, and you get a guided tour. So it's a little bit of everything. I personally like going for a little walk right after I've been on a bus for a few hours. So
Yeah. It's always nice.
Yeah, I think a few people agree with me there. But I really like going to the sporting events too, because it's not just, as most people think, the stereotypical guys going. We have a lot of ladies going, we have a lot of kids going, and it's great to see people sharing in that, spectator fun.
Yeah. Is there anything in the winter time that you suggest or recommend?
Yeah, we have a trip, and these are kind of cool, the Sight and Sounds. The theater down in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, this year they're doing Samson. It's usually 3 days, and it is a live theater, live animals. It's just phenomenal. You're up close and personal. You go down on the bus to that, and you're just almost part of it, but it's all live and it's really up close. And you see this phenomenal presentation of Samson. You eat dinner at an Amish house. You make a couple stops. But if you're interested in that, I have flyers on all these trips in my office. Like I said, you can give me a call at my number, and I'll get you anything I can. And sometimes one of the things people ask is, well, sometimes I need to use a cane, or sometimes, there's special needs I have. Just call and ask, or email. And all I can do is find out from the tour company or the location where we're going if we can or cannot accommodate. And we'll do the best we can for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to extended trips.
Yes.
Because my personal interest is going on an extended trip to someplace like Hawaii or Iceland.
Yeah.
What's the average length of time for those extended trips?
So most of those are usually probably, I would say minimum is like 6 days, and then some of them go up to 14 days. So, but with some of these, like we did Spotlight on Paris, that's coming up this November, you can get an extension on it. And almost all of these you can extend on. We did a trip to the Amalfi Islands, Amalfi Coast, and there was an extension, and I think almost everyone on that trip stayed after and stayed for the extended 3 or 4 days because they didn't want to just end the trip then. So there's options. We're doing Canyon Country in October, which was a huge success. A lot of people signed up for. And there's all these really cool little options you can do. Some people are taking the Jeep tour. Some people are going to do the cruise through the canyon. So there's all these awesome little things you can do and add on to your trips. Again, like Discovery Tuscany and the Spotlight on South Dakota are both ones where you're just one hotel. A lot of these are, though, where you're in a hotel like 2 or 3 nights and then moving to a new one. But you get a lot of flavor for it, like the flavor of different things. The Mackinac Island trip we're going to be doing.
Mackinac.
I know, Mackinac. I can't help but say it, Mackinac. Mackinac Island trip. That one we're staying in the Grand Hotel the whole time.
Oh,
so that's
nice.
Really exciting.
To stay in one place.
Yeah.
Do you, just so you know, Cindy, we've got about 5 minutes
okay.
left.
I know.
Presentations on the trips,
Yes.
How far in advance do they tend to be? What are the expectations for payments and deposits on extended trips?
Great question. So the trip presentations are always free and they're open to the public. All I ask is that you let me know you're coming because Lamont, our chef in the kitchen, makes these phenomenal cookies and we like to give everybody a cookie when they come. And plus I want to make sure I have enough information for everyone. So for example, the Discover Tuscany trip, which is in March, we are doing a trip presentation on that very shortly. The Mackinac Island trip presentation is going to be in September, and that trip is also slated for May. So we do several months out, but that's because a lot of people, worry or wonder about getting money in. And so normally on most of these, to get your name on a list, we need a deposit, which can be anywhere from like the Samson trip, which I believe was $150 a person, to something like the Hawaii trip, which I believe is about a $250 to $300 deposit. The Colette trips, which are usually our extended trips, the bigger, longer trips, are all run with Colette Tours, who we've have a phenomenal relationship with and history with, and have had a lot of great experiences. They have an incredible travel insurance, which I've seen put to use several times, and with no question, they're like, okay, well, we'll refund that person. And within a matter of days, the person is calling me back going, wow, I really thank you very much that they've already refunded me my money. So that's kind of cool. And I highly suggest travel insurance, especially with those bigger trips.
Yeah. So it's nice that we have a rapport with
with
the company that extended trips go through. That's really, that's really awesome.
Yeah, and with our day trips too, or even just our smaller overnight trips, we use a base, probably a handful of companies. And we have found that's more successful that way. We have a lot of companies that come at us.
Yeah.
Trying to sell trips all the time, and it's great and it's wonderful, but trying to stick with quality, not quantity. We kind of just keep using the same companies over and over.
Okay. I don't have any more questions. Is there anything else you wanted to add information-wise?
If you have any questions about the trips, again, they're not just for the seniors. We are a division of Groton Parks and Recreation, so our trips are for the Recreation Department and for us. So, I'm going to be planning more trips that are more open for everyone and trying to let everybody realize that we're here for everybody.
Well, thank you, Cindy,
You're
for
so welcome.
joining me.
Thank you,
and thank you, everyone else, for joining us today and learning about the trips that the Groton Senior Center offers. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Cindy at her phone number, which is
860-441-6623.
And you can find more information on the Facebook page. Make sure that you type in Town of Groton
Yes.
Senior Center to find it. You can also go through the Town of Groton Parks and Rec page.
Yep.
And you can also find information on the Groton Senior Regional page, right?
Yes.
So lots and lots of options for finding out more information on our trips through the Groton Senior Center. So thank you.
Thank you, Margot.